All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with one of my all-time faves, and that is the Grande Dame of Potomac, Karen Huger. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to talk to you. I wish we were together in person.
Are you and I both, but that day will come soon, hopefully.
That's true. That's true. Okay, first of all, before we get into anything Potomac related, I need to ask, how did you feel when Rihanna popped into your Instagram live?
Rihanna is iconic. Of course, I was shaking in my boots. I'm so honored and so grateful that she acknowledged and it just says women lifting women, empowering women. She said I'm doing a great job, and I'm like, yes, thank you, Riri.
Now, we know that she's a Bravo fan, but did you have any idea that she watched your show?
I had no idea that she watched our show and pretty much got into what it was that I'm giving throughout the years, and I really appreciate it. So yes, Riri is a RHOP fan. Hallelujah.
And I did notice too, there were some people who did some deep dives because you know how the fans get. They do a lot of research. And you are actually one of the only Bravo celebrities that she follows. She only follows a handful.
I know. So I'm extremely honored, and I have been following her forever. I just think she's so intelligent. And not only is she an artist, but she's one heck of a businesswoman, and I just love to see that in the young Black women today. And she's doing the dang thing. So yes,
I'm going to be getting some of
I'm a
that
huge
Fenty
fan.
skincare, okay? Because I know she
Oh,
has a line for
don't we
men.
all need it? Don't we all need it? Oh my God, her skin is just like porcelain. I love it.
Well, speaking of looking amazing, you look amazing in all of your interview looks. So I want to talk about how you and your team come up with these different looks, especially the sunset eyes, the short hair, the orange. Like, talk about how you guys develop those.
You know what? I give my team an idea about what I want to wear. And I have to give credit to the young talent that's around me. They lift me, they listen to me, and I let them have freedom in expressing what they think will complement what I wear. So it's a team effort, and we pull it together, and I'm just so proud of them. And, again, it takes a village, and I have a village and a powerfully talented village of glam people around me. So thank you guys.
I really like the black like Hollywood glam look that you guys have going on right
Oh
now
my
too.
God. I'm a big fan of Hollywood glam, old Hollywood. So I'm paying homage to that when you see me in the black. So again, I picked the top and they just went with it. I mean, they are just so talented and they get me.
Yeah.
What I love about it is, they're young folk, and some of them, one of them in particular is young enough to be my son. Uh, but it's interesting that age is not a barrier.
Yeah.
It's when you're creative and you're trusting, that's when you fly, that's when you soar. And the fans seem to love it, and I really appreciate, their comments and their support. So again, I thank my team. It's a team effort.
And it's also like, I feel like there are so many memeable moments from your interviews that like I'm just always seeing like gifs of you and like memes, which I'm not complaining, but it's just like I
Okay.
always get to see it.
I am just being real, just being myself. This is reality TV, and I give reality, and I have a sense of humor, but I do have the gift for gab, and and it just comes, and I'm like, let's nail it. I just go with it. I just go with it, and if it's appropriate, I just embrace it and own the moment, and the viewers and the fans, they get it, and I thank the fans for their love and support. They actually live for it, and they encourage me to keep it going. So I know that I don't. It's not prepared. It's just all me, natural in the moment.
Right, it's all
Yeah.
Karen. It's just all Karen. Well, a lot of people this season are talking about and making jokes about this real rivalry, and that is you and T'Challa. So let's talk about this. Are you just not really a bird person?
Look, T'Challa and I are, love hate. I don't do feathers, but I love Monique, and I'm learning to love T'Challa. I call him T'Choppa, by the way, because he looks like he can chop down on you at any moment. So I keep my distance. It's about respect. We're going to get
Right.
there. We're just not there yet. He needs to stay on the leash. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, and he didn't stay on the leash, and I was freaking out what is it, earlier last week?
Yes.
When T'Challa went missing, I felt so bad, but then he came back, like, a full day later.
No, let me tell you, I fully participated in finding T'Challa. I was
Did
in my
you?
yes. Oh, Lord, you gotta talk to Monique. I called her. I said, "What can I do? Can you bring over some food to set out at my front door?" I was on my patio calling T'Challa, and I actually thought I heard him. So I knew he would come back. It's a very smart bird, okay? Ray and I were out there calling his name. Yes, we participated in the rescue of T'Challa, and we were so glad when he returned home the next day. I told Monique he just went to the hood, came back, and he wanted his mansion back.
Right, right. Well, I feel like there's like a children's book in there somewhere, like what happened to T'Challa in that, 12, however many hours he was gone. Like,
Yeah.
what did he experience?
Oh, did you see him after it though? He looked pretty rough. He looked like he had been
Yeah, he
through
had been
hell.
through something.
Yeah, yeah, poor baby. Now he appreciates his home. It's like a child. You gotta show him what they're missing. He made his way
Right. No,
home.
that's true. Okay, well, let's get into everything else that's going on this season. At the very beginning, first episode, Candiace asked you to give advice at her anniversary party. So were you surprised that she called you up to the mic, or did you know that she was going to ask you to speak?
You know what? It never I'm always gonna be there for Candace when it comes to her marriage, and so I'm honored that she asked me. Was I surprised? A little bit, because she knew that Ray and I were going through a rough patch at that time. So I was honored that she did it, and I was true to myself. I was true to what was going on with Ray and I, and we were like, "But we'll be here for you," you know? So it was a real moment, and I was very honored that she asked me because, yeah, Ray and I have been at this for what, going on 24 years.
Yeah. Well, you have been very open this season about your relationship struggles with Ray. So, how have the other ladies supported you through that experience? Like, has Candace been there for you through that?
You know, Candace had a lot on her plate this season, and to the extent that she could be there for me, she was there initially. Monique has always been there, and then Ray and I put in the work, and that's something we're really proud to bring to the viewers and to fans this year, because people respect our institution, if you will, of marriage, and it's really important to own that even the best of marriages go through, and it's how you work it out. So,
Hmm.
you got to work at this thing. And Ray and I are so honored to have shared that moment with fans. So, if they're young and newly married, or if they're 25 years or in or more, this can help them as well. So we were very raw, very honest, and very. It's pretty painful, but it's based on love. So we'll see. Stay tuned.
Well, right, and you said on Watch What Happens Live that especially through the quarantine and the lockdown and everything, you two were forced to spend more time together. So, did you find that that actually really helped nurture your relationship?
Absolutely. I mean, look, when you're one on one, 24/7, you've got to find a way to communicate. And it has helped us because we are finding different ways: love communication, friend communication, just patience, just the milk of human kindness to one another. So it has been a blessing in disguise to go through quarantine with Ray.
And so, the two of you today, all is well.
You got to stay tuned.
You're like, I'll never tell.
Hey, I'll never tell.
Another thing that you mentioned on Watch What Happens Live was that fatherhood looks good on Michael Darby. So, are you in a better place with him than you were, let's say, last season?
I think I've been very clear about where I am, what I chose to do. Fatherhood looks great on Michael Darby. It really does. I see a different side of him that I've never seen before, but my focus is on Baby Dean. I just fell in love with Baby Dean. He has such a kind spirit, and motherhood looks great on Ashley. And I just love the growth I see in that family since Baby Dean came. So I'm rooting for them.
How have you seen Ashley change since becoming a mom?
She's wiser. She's more open. She's still Ashley now. Hold on. She's still Ashley. But
Yeah.
with this beauty about her that only, she could have done herself, and it's personal growth that she garnered, and she owns it. And having a child, is that kind of gift sometimes, and it looks good on Ashley.
Yeah. Well, I've been thinking about her a lot through the, pandemic and everything, because this season we've seen her be so nervous with the baby and she's thinking of all these things. And, throughout watching these episodes, I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope she's doing okay through this pandemic. Because for a new mom, I mean, we've all been going through it, but for someone who's a new mom, it must be, extra scary.
Well, I think what probably is going to be interesting is to see how Ashley and I bond as mothers. It doesn't matter if you're a new mom or a mom of a 30-year-old. This pandemic is frightening to all mothers. And that's something Ashley and I now share. I am deeply worried about my children, even though they're grown. So, when you have that thing in common, that is the love for a child, it certainly does afford you a bridge to get over anything that may have bothered you or you thought was important in the past, because the pandemic has put everything in perspective for most people.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, and we're seeing Candiace go through it this season at this point,
Mhm.
talking about
Mhm.
the experience of motherhood. So do you think she's watched everyone else now have babies? I mean, a lot of you have, grown children, but a lot of the women on the show have younger kids. So it must be
Mhm.
hard for her to watch everybody go through that and not totally know if she's prepared. So how have you talked to Candiace about, that journey of becoming a mom?
I haven't had a personal one-on-one. I like the viewers. I'm watching her go through this. I know she has the desire. She did express that, but we haven't gone any further than that. And I think when it's time, the right time is for Candiace. Candiace, will make that decision to become a mom,
Right.
as we all do
Yeah.
and
It's
have.
it's got to be right for them at that
It
time.
has to be right for Candiace, yeah. And I'm rooting for her and Chris.
Of course, yeah. A major player in the drama so far this season is Charisse. So, what is your relationship like with her?
I didn't have any type of communication with Charisse. I acknowledged that she was there. I'm just more concerned with what Gizelle is putting down when she's with Charisse, okay?
Right.
Oh, Gizelle, I think that's a better question for Gizelle because they seem to have, this bond now that brought Charisse around. And, I don't want to get ahead of your interview, but it is an interesting thing to watch. And I got my hands full with Gizelle, so not much personal time with Charisse lately.
Yeah. Well, the sip and see party at Ashley's got, pretty heated, pretty intense. I mean, we saw people storming out. So, was it just kind of awkward being in the room for that? I mean, it must have been kind of uncomfortable.
I call it the, I call it I sip and I saw. That was the moment, if you saw when I raised my one finger, it all came together for me. I understood why Charisse was there. I understood why Gizelle was asking Charisse, what did she do to Monique?
Hmm.
When and Gizelle was hiding her hands in this horrible rumor that's going around. So that was an aha moment for me. I sip and I saw, and I wanted nothing to do with it. To
Yeah.
be honest with you, it was revolting. It was disgusting. And, that rumor, and we're talking about the one that involves the Samuels this season.
Yeah.
I had heard about it in season 4.
Oh,
I wanted nothing to do with it then. I want nothing to do with it now because I believe that you don't try and destroy a family.
of course.
And I want nothing to do with that. And especially when it's unfounded and not true. It's just despicable.
Yeah. You were like, I'm not getting my hands dirty with this one.
No, no,
Thank you very much.
that is no, no, I'm done. I want my food.
A sip and I saw, and I'm out.
That's right. Well, actually, I stayed through the whole thing, because it was important for me because I couldn't believe, again, 4th season, I knew that Gizelle wanted this to be part of Monique's storyline. And I had said I will not participate in that. And she was carrying her child then. And so for me to see it resurface its ugly head at that moment again, I thought it was over with. I thought, everyone accepted it wasn't true. We're not going to follow this. And to see Gizelle and to hear Gizelle in confessionals and on Watch What Happens Live toss this out again about the Samuel family, just I'm sick to my stomach over it. And it's not true, which is so damaging and unfortunate. But yeah, it was an awakening moment for me that I'm very proud to say that I have never in 5 years of being a housewife needed to tear down anyone in order to stand up or to garner any type of attention. I just bring me. So yeah, I want nothing to do with that.
Well, a lot of people seem to have reservations this season when it comes to Giselle's relationship with Jamal, and that includes their own daughters. So, what is your take on the two of them getting back together?
You know what? I mind my business, but listen. Gizelle has done. I hate making my interviews about Gizelle, but we have the longest relationship, one of the longest relationships on the show, and so I'm going to try and keep this sweet and short. I heard that Gizelle said that Karen has done things to me this season that I would never do to her, and I have to say, I have not done anything to Gizelle ever, but be sure she sure as hell has done a lot to me. And I didn't print a T-shirt, berating her man when she went back to him. Giselle did though. She did that with Ray. I didn't call this man that she's now dating, the father of her children, out of his name. Giselle called my husband Uncle Ben. I think Giselle just needs to be grateful that I even speak to her. Don't go around saying I've done something to you when I haven't. What I've done is I've held you accountable this year. Things are different for me. Of course, we all grow and we mature, and I just don't play that game with her that, letting her put a battery pack on you and wind you up. Some people do. She cannot wind me up at all. And it's not any you know, is there any jealousy, any hate, or anything like that? None of that. It's about respect and grow up, and that's what I'm coming with. So anyway,
Well, there you go. There you go. And that's that on that. We were moving on past Gizelle. Let's get past
Okay,
that.
praise the Lord. Hallelujah.
Well, I want to talk about new housewife Dr. Wendy. We've seen some tension between you guys this season so far. So, what is at the root of that tension?
Yeah, okay. I can't give everything away, and I really don't know how much Bravo is going to share. Of course, Wendy and I had a little of a rocky beginning early in the season, but I believe that what Wendy is confused about when I say I'm not impressed with her, she's very confused about it. I'm not talking about Wendy's accolades, her academic achievements. I am extremely proud of this woman. She is doing the dang thing, academically. That is not what I'm not impressed with about Wendy, and Wendy knows that. So I say stay tuned.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, so far, I really like her. I've really taken to her, but I can see what you're saying about
She,
it's no shade to her accomplishments, but I guess we'll see
no.
exactly what that
Yeah,
is
we'll
about.
see how far, production and Bravo wants to go with that. And if not, I think that viewers staying tuned will still love how grown women move on.
Hmm. Well, speaking of Dr. Wendy too, and T'Challa, I think we see a preview coming up that there is an attack. There's a bit of an attack.
Woo! Yes, and Wendy's gonna watch when he says, I sicked the bird on her, right? I did not. I did not. It's an interesting scene. It's an interesting scene. I think everyone's gonna get a hoot out of that one.
Yeah, pun intended, right? A hoot.
Yep, a pun intended, exactly.
Let's talk about your housewarming. What an epic party. What did you think about Robyn bringing the pizza?
You know what? I thought it was super funny. I thought she was hilarious, because to be honest with you, we grow, most of us grow on this cast. And I expected her to do it, to be honest. They can't pull anything over my eyes, no wool over my eyes, no shade.
Right.
So when she bought it, I called my very dear friend Robyn up and I said, Robyn, let's have a piece of pizza. It's a different day and time. I think that when they did it initially, my mother was sick and that was very inappropriate and insensitive.
Hmm.
This was a celebration. This was my party. This was my, coming back to Potomac. And nothing was going to dampen that. So I was ready for that. I would have bought the pizza myself, to be honest, and served it to them. But hey, Robyn beat me to the punch on that
Right. Well, and
one.
you already had everything all catered and set up. And, one thing about the party is that the ladies kept pointing out that, like, Ray wasn't really part of the theme. Like, he wasn't in the singing telegram invitation. There were lots of letter K's everywhere. So, I mean,
Well, see, when your man loves you and you're going through, he lets you throw the party.
right.
And Ray and I are Ray could care less about a K or an R being on a cookie. Let's just be real. We were going through real stuff at the time, and we were making sure that we, had our friends that loved us around us. And I think it's interesting to watch the girls take digs after they eat my food and drink my liquor.
That's a
So
good point.
next, okay, stop eating my food, stop drinking my liquor, and you don't have to come but I wanted them there, to be honest, and I'm used to them. They don't ruffle my feathers, I see them coming, and it's just so funny, I guess it's because I am the mature one, and to see them go through these antics and say these things behind my back instead of having a conversation to my face about it. Now, I will say that about Jizzy. Jizzy will talk to me. She'll ask me about it, but Ray and we're not sweating any K's or any R's on cupcakes.
Right, right. And I mean, there was the little like Beyonce performance that you gave in the pink too. And they were like, well, why wasn't he her Jay-Z? But I'm sort of like, you know what? Let Karen have her moment. Okay.
Well, you know what? I'm hoping I have all the pictures to prove it. Ray was beyond my Jay-Z that night. Okay. So I will be sharing tons and tons of pictures and the moments that Ray and I had. We had such a great time. But whenever hey, look, guys, when I throw a party, of course the girls love to come and eat my food, drink my liquor, and talk about me like, like crazy.
Hmm.
And I love it. They just lift me even higher. And I'm like, go for it, girl, because let's see you throw a party like that.
Right.
Hello?
Hello.
And leave my hat alone. Yes, it was how'd you like the hat? Did you like the hat?
I
The
love
hat
the
was
hat.
made I had that thing was so painful though. Oh my god.
Was
It was
it?
yes, it was made of cardboard, but I was like, "Yes," and it was painted.
Oh my
So, I
God.
really got into this party because I knew that so many negative things were going on
Yeah.
in our circle that I needed to bring a ray of fun and hey, and I can take it. What can I say? I could take
Yeah. Well, I think you
I
did.
did.
It seemed like everybody had a great time.
But I am glad, I'm glad they did, and I'll do it again.
Another
Well, it was
housewarming,
like a
why not?
wedding if you think about it. All the flowers, oh my God, we just did so many flowers. I just loved it. I was like, right, this has got to come, and pull at Ray's heartstrings, So after we got rid of the guests, you can imagine we said I do again.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, well, to ourselves, but not right away. Okay, okay,
Right.
it took a moment.
You referenced at one point throughout the party, how you guys are empty nesters now. So how are your kids doing? Can you give us any updates on how they are?
They are fantastic. Brandon has an impressive career going on for himself in IT. Raven is wrapping up her master's this fall. And I couldn't be prouder of my children and the love and support. And it's sort of great to have adult children. I'm so blessed that, they are grown and they were grown, by the way, when Ray and I hit this impasse. And they were so cool with us. And they said, look, you guys have been great parents. But what we don't want is you to stay together because of us. And they were like rooting for us, but they were like, look, I want you to be happy. That's when you raise your children right and they love you and they respect you enough to say, look, don't do it for me, do it for you all. You guys deserve the best. And so I'm so lucky to have them as kids.
Yeah. Well, at a certain age too, I feel like, kids teach their parents, or help raise their parents.
They do. They were so freaking cool. And Rick and I were looking at each other like we were having a serious conversation with you all. And they simply just went back to the foundation we gave them as children and to operate from a place of love and not selfishness when they had to look at their mom and dad struggling for a moment. And they were like, you guys take care of yourselves first. You've done a great job. We're gonna love both of you regardless. And that helps so tremendously. And that's why it's important to raise your children properly,
Of
you
course.
know?
Yeah.
Because you're right, they become your teachers, and you wanna be the author of what they teach you, okay?
Mhm.
I'm just
That's right.
saying.
How is everything going with Ladam?
Ladom is oh my god, I feel so blessed. I'm in HSN. I've got a huge announcement, and I'll share it with you. So here's breaking news. I will be in
Breaking
the
news.
stores of Bloomingdale's. I was doing pop-ups
Oh,
initially,
wow.
and now I will be, in the stores of Bloomingdale, and we've got
Karen,
thank you
congratulations.
so much. So I'm still working, and I want to thank the fans for their support because website sales, ladomfragrance.com is blowing up, and I just feel the love, and I'm so grateful because, as you know, this was, a testament to the relationship I had with my mother. That fragrance. So to
Mhm.
see it do so well in a pandemic, and it's hard. It's hard to be in business right now, a
Yeah.
small business at that. So I don't take anything for granted, and I am just honored. I'm just honored.
That's so amazing. Look at that. You are the moment, Karen.
Well, thank you. Thank
Now,
you. Oh,
is
wow.
there anything else up your sleeve? I mean, with the success of Ladam, is there anything else you're working on?
Well, I expanded the brand, and RPG show Wigs came on board, and we collaborated together. So I have a fully arsenal platinum blonde.
Of course.
Offered in every color, though. I didn't want to just have blonde hair. I found my blonde. Not every woman wants to be a blonde.
That's true.
So I'm so honored that RPG show saw what I was creating. And Stephen Thomas is the creative collaborator on that line with me, who does my hair.
Mhm.
And so I'm just so proud of what we've accomplished. And I will continue to expand my Ladam brand, which is a beauty brand. So, the sky's the limit. Let's just get through this pandemic safely
Mhm.
and successfully and still have your business intact, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. See, look at that. You're gonna be like Rihanna. It's gonna be like
Oh,
Fenty and
oh my
Ladam.
God. Look, only hope. I can only hope. I'll take 1% of what Riri put down, okay? If this she's huge.
Right.
I'll take she's an icon.
Ain't that the truth? Well, Karen, thank you so much. This was so fun talking to you. I appreciate it. I'm so happy to hear everything's going well, and
Thank you.
I'm sure that we will have to have you back on a little bit later this season because I know there's a lot more to come.
Oh, so much more. And again, thank you for having me, and I
Of
look forward to
course.
talking to you again soon.
All right. Thank you so much,
Stay healthy,
Karen.
be safe.
Thank you. You too.
So, thank you so much for joining us remotely. Welcome to the podcast, Ashley.
Thank you. It's funny. I actually did my makeup so that I would like feel in the zone. I've been in such mom mode. It's nice to put on another hat.
I feel like I've been putting on perfume too. And I'm like, who is this for? But it just makes me feel like a human.
I feel that. I feel that very deeply.
How is baby Dean?
Oh, he's so great. He just turned a year old a couple weeks ago. So he's just flourishing every day. We're going through a little bit of a sleep regression right now. So he's not sleeping quite as well as he was, but otherwise he's a pretty perfect kid. So no complaints at all.
Do you feel like the social distancing time is sort of a blessing?
Yeah, I mean, it's not circumstances that I would ever really want, but for certain, being able to spend this time with Dean and Michael has been the silver lining in all of it, because otherwise I would be pulled in so many different directions. I was already starting to look for a nanny when the pandemic happened. So I was already gearing up to be apart from my family. And that was difficult for me. It was a mental exercise to begin to prepare to separate from Dean. So when the pandemic happened, it allowed me to table having to find help for a while and to just, be with my kid and watch all of his milestone moments firsthand.
Yeah. I mean, thank God this didn't hit until after you guys had done so much filming for the show, because this season is amazing.
Oh my gosh, I must say that, we never know what to expect when the season starts, right? And then by the end of it, you look back, you're like, wow, the things, if I had only known back then, like you never can begin to anticipate what's going to happen over the next few months.
Yeah. Okay. But before we get into like the drama of it all, I just wondered if it felt different for you this season going in as a new mom this time.
100%. When we started filming the season, I was about two and a half months postpartum. And it was just a challenge for me to step out of my newborn bubble and, think about this other aspect of my life that had been turned off for a while. And so now I had to find a way to be Ashley Darby and be Dean's mom at the same time. And it was a bit of a challenge for me, especially in the beginning, coming off of my postpartum and hormonal changes. And I was going through a pretty difficult time when we started filming. So I shared that with the world.
Yeah. I mean, what do you have to say to women who are seeing that? And I mean, I think it is a little bit like, even through Candiace's eyes, we see how she's sort of in this position of, do I want to be a mom yet? Am I ready? And, I think that it sometimes is scary to hear the tough times that new moms are going through. But what message would you share for women at home who are like, oh God, do I want to do this now?
Oh, I know. I mean, what everyone told me when I talked to them about it was there is no right time. When it happens, you'll find that you will just adapt. I mean, if you really think about it, if we remove our personal selves out of the equation, it is very natural to have children. I mean, our bodies are literally made to reproduce. So I had to trust in the process of my body and just believe and know that everything was going to be okay. And that was really difficult to do. It's such an unknown, but just thinking about it on a more abstract level, it's one of the most natural and human things that we can do. So there is some comfort in that.
I feel like all women have an idea of who they're going to be as a mom.
Mhm.
What is maybe something that you've surprised yourself about?
Oh my goodness. I thought that I would be a more relaxed person because I am a pretty go with the flow. I don't take things too seriously. Having this little being just changed me drastically in that it was hard for me to think about leaving him, and all of these unknown and fairly unrealistic fears started popping into my head. Like, I mean, things about if we were walking on the street, I would think about a car coming off the street and hitting us on the sidewalk. I mean, like, what? Those are the types of thoughts that just were morphing in my mind. So I was really surprised, and I actually apologized to my mother because I always thought she was just so overprotective and she would always call me and, Mom, just let me live. And now I realize that, I mean, it is what it is. You'll never be the same after having a baby.
Is there anything that you're even able to do to fix that? I mean, those are some scary thoughts to be living with every day.
They really are. And it made it hard for me to resume my normal life. I mean, I talked to some of my friends and they experienced similar feelings, but it was very heightened for me, and to the point that I was really down because I just started seeing the world as this really dangerous place when I'm an optimistic, positive person by nature, but I was all of a sudden thinking the worst of almost everything. And it was just really hard to come out of that. So I did seek therapy. I was able to talk to someone who helped me to shift my mindset to think about the more positive things and try to check myself to be more realistic instead of anticipating the worst. I'm sorry, my husband's email is, I don't know how to stop that.
Well, speaking of, are you guys driving each other crazy during all this time together?
Michael and I are actually doing very well. And that is a big thing because we're super independent people. And magically, we are getting closer. And I have no desire to be away from him. Like, I would have thought by now that I would be seeking any sort of opportunity to be out doing something. Oh, grocery store, yes. But I actually really enjoy being with him and sharing space with him.
That's so nice to hear.
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise for both of us. We thought it was going to be a challenge, but it's been quite natural.
Yeah. I wonder, out of these housewives that you are on the show with, is there anyone that you would trust to have an overnight, let's say, with baby Dean? They're in charge, they're babysitting. And if so, who?
Okay, well, I've thought about this in detail. And all these scenarios, I would say that Monique, I would definitely be comfortable with Monique being with Dean because she has Chase, who's a similar age, and she also has Milani and Christopher. I sort of trust Robyn and Gizelle, except their children are older, so I feel like they may be a little bit more removed from some of the very specific tendencies that toddlers have. So I would say definitely Monique, maybe Gizelle and Robyn in a pinch. Karen, definitely a daytime, definitely hanging out during the day. Overnight, not so much.
Why?
Because Karen likes her personal time. She's
Right.
made it clear she likes her tea time. And, she's past this point in her life. Both of her children are grown. They've moved out. I feel like people at that point in their lives, they like temporary visits with children. They definitely want to play with them and snuggle them and then give them back quite promptly. So.
And then turn up at home.
Yeah, well, Karen turns up with some Lipton iced tea or Lipton tea, but whatever floats our boats. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What do you think about Gizelle and Jamal rekindling their relationship? That was a big highlight this season.
It definitely was a big highlight. I would say also it was quite a surprise because when I had talked to Gizelle about Jamal in the past, she made it very clear that there was nothing. I mean, she said that book was done, chapters closed, nothing. I mean, she ixated every single time I brought it up. So when she all of a sudden said at the reunion last year that she was dating Jamal, I was legitimately flabbergasted. Okay, like, what happened? I guess you really can never say never when it comes to love because she really said never. And now my girl is saying just plain old yes.
It seems like from what I've seen so far, like she's keeping Jamal away from the group events. And I know that he lives in Atlanta, but do you think there's also this part of her that's trying to protect the relationship?
Definitely, Gizelle is trying to protect her relationship because she knows exactly what she has said and done in relation to other people's marriages, and she's had a strong opinion. And so eventually, the ping pong ball comes back. So everyone is going to pry into her relationship just as she has so readily and adamantly done in the past to all of us. So she was really trying to avoid that.
Yeah. I mean, you and Michael had such a tough season last season. How did you have like a powwow about how you're going to come back this season in terms of like how much he even wanted to be around the ladies?
Oh, yes. I actually, before we even talked about the show in relation to us, I had a hard time thinking about being on the show after having Dean. Like, I just felt like it was too soon for me personally. So there was that aspect. And then we had to also think about our relationship. And it was more so that Michael was willing to be a part of the process, but he definitely was a little bit more reserved about how much he would be around. And Michael is around the ladies and he's participating mainly for me. So it was really, the ball was in my court. He was like, if you want to do this, if you want me to be a part of it, I'm willing to, but I'm not going to be as involved or active as I have been in the past. And I accepted that.
Was it weird or harder for you without having him around as much?
It was a little bit different not having Michael be around as much because he's like my best friend. It wasn't hard because I can stand on my own. It was just a little bit different not being able to, look at him and us be able to just understand each other looking with a look, that was gone out the window. So I missed having my best friend around, but it actually allowed me to be a little bit more present with my friends and to actually be a part of the group more because I couldn't rely on just being able to, communicate with Michael.
How have you guys been able to keep your relationship so strong despite all the outside voices, all the noise from the ladies and, even social media and all of that?
In the beginning, it was a challenge for me to keep all of that from seeping into my relationship. I am a sensitive person, so it felt like some of the fairly harsh things that were being said, I was taking personally. And then consequently, I would maybe take them out on Michael. And sometimes it was when I wasn't even aware. My whole demeanor would just change after I read something or after someone said something. And then that would cause some strife between Michael and me. So, what I've learned to do is I have A, developed really thick skin, but B, I've learned how to sequester that and keep it separate from my relationship. I don't carry it with me anymore. It doesn't exude off of me. And that's really helped my relationship. I keep everything that happens in relation to the criticism and the negativity, all of that, even if sometimes I don't even pay attention to it, I keep it at bay. And then I'm present with my husband as his wife.
As a whole, would you say this season or last season was harder?
I would definitely say last season was a doozy and a half for both of us. It was just a situation that I don't think either of us ever anticipated being in when we started this process, when we started on the show. So it was surprising that we were in that situation. And it was just really difficult of how the public was handling it. And even more difficult was how when everything was done and cleared, the media didn't pick that up. They picked up the accusations and all of that, but they didn't pick up the fact that everything had been cleared and there were no charges. So that was really, really challenging.
I mean, was it a struggle for Bravo to get you back this season, or was it something that you wanted, you were ready to do because, you are able to get out there and be like, look, this was cleared,
Yes, to a degree, I was ready to get back in the saddle, but more of me was sort of checked out because I just didn't understand how we could have been in that position, honestly. So that made it so that it was hard for me to think about how I would handle something like that again. It just felt like there is the possibility of something, any sort of accusation being made about any of us that could happen again. And that made me a little bit weary.
Yeah. How is the relationship between your mom and Michael today?
Michael and my mom are doing incredibly well. There is the saying that babies bring people together, and that couldn't be more true. Michael and my mom I really think they understand that they're family now. It's more solidified that we are family with a capital F, and they're both they see each other so differently. They care more about each other. And it's been really nice for me to see and great for Dean's development.
Yeah. Going into the season, I always wonder what it's like for you housewives. Like you filmed it, but then it's like the waiting for everyone to watch it and for you to relive it. Is there anything you're nervous to relive this season?
Well, I would be lying if I said this was an easy season for me. Yes, there definitely is a difficult time that Michael and I go through, and I am really dreading reliving it, mainly because we've made a lot of progress in relation to that, and yet I still have to see it and just relive it all again. It's going to be hard.
Ugh, and I have to imagine also the reliving of like with people's commentary the whole way through.
The commentary is really hard, and I try not to let it get to me, as I said before, because no one's really saying it to my face. They're usually writing it about me, or they've said it on the show, so no one's actually saying it to my face. It still makes me sensitive because I do care so much about my husband and I care about my marriage, and it's going to be really dissected by some people.
Mm. Who would you say is like the most supportive of the group of you and when you do go through these tough times?
The most supportive person by far is Monique. When Michael and I were going through our things last year, she checked on me all the time. She offered words of support just consistently. She didn't make jokes about me. I mean, she was a real friend, like just a really good friend to me during that time. So whenever Michael and I are having a difficult time, she and Chris both are very supportive. They understand that marriage is hard work.
Yeah. Well, we know that there was an altercation this season between Monique and Candiace. And without giving too much away, I just am curious through that if your opinion of either of these ladies changed.
My opinion did not change about either of the people involved in the altercation.
Mm.
I had to evaluate my perception of them and how I felt about each of them. And I had to think about how I see them as people after that altercation.
Yeah. Well, with the bad comes the good, and Juan and Robyn get engaged. What was your reaction to that?
Oh, that was so exciting. Okay, let me also say, I just felt like it was a long time coming. And so it was more like, oh, finally, this is so great. Because it's very clear that these two are meant for each other. I mean, the only people who didn't see it for a while were the two of them and me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. But they are clearly destined to be together. They love each other. And I'm so happy that they're proof that love does prevail.
Yes. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining. This was great.
Thank you. I had a really fun time. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, guys, we are here with Robyn Dixon from Real Housewives of Potomac. What's up, Robyn?
What's up, Eric? It is so good to be speaking to you today.
I know. I'm so excited to talk with you. I'm so excited Potomac is back. We've been waiting forever. And everyone who listens to the show knows that I am obsessed. And I have watched a little bit of this season so far, and it is good.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you for your support. We definitely love everyone who is on the Potomac train now. And we are so excited. And yes, we're ready to get this show on the road.
Well, and first of all, too, congratulations on upgrading from a finger tattoo to a full-on engagement ring.
I know, right? Thank you. Thank you. Baby steps. We're getting there.
I know a lot of people designate a person, like Gizelle, for example, to say, hey, when you need to pick out an engagement ring for me, Juan, I need you to go and talk to Gizelle. Did you have that conversation with her?
Not explicitly. It was more like Gizelle just started fishing. So she kind of would just ask me little questions like, oh, so what do you like? What do you want? And I think for me, I guess I never even envisioned that this day was going to come. So I wasn't even really sending him clear signs. I was just whatever. I don't really, if I said anything to him, I probably was like, oh, I don't really need a big diamond. I don't really need, I'm whatever, cause I'm very low key. I've been there, done that. So I probably did not give him great instructions, but
right. There wasn't too much direction, so he kind of had to go to Gizelle.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and also, like you said, been there, done that. You've already got one. So it's kind of like the second time around, it's really more about the commitment than I guess it is about the ring, right?
Exactly. I mean, not to knock, any big, rings or significant wedding things. Once you've been there and done that, you've been divorced, you realize some of that stuff really isn't that important. More important is the relationship and making sure that it's, it's strong and it's going to be forever. I'm more concerned with making this one work the second time than with, spending a whole bunch of money on a diamond ring. So
of course. Yeah. Now, have you guys been forced to put wedding planning on hold with the pandemic and everything? I mean, it seems like a lot of people are rearranging their plans.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Our plan was to not even begin wedding planning until the end of Juan's basketball season. He coaches a college basketball team and their season was cut short in early March because of the pandemic. But our plan was to not even start planning. I wanted to let him get through a season because it's very stressful and busy. So it was we didn't even get to start planning because the pandemic hit. And now still kind of I really don't know what direction to go. I still want to wait this thing out. I watched CNN too much. So.
Right. I mean, it's so hard to not watch the news and then like freak yourself out, but it's really difficult to plan anything. I have some friends who were going to get married in spring 2021. And when this all began, they were already like, yo, we're pushing it right to 2022. Like, we're not
Wow.
even messing around. So I was like, oh my God, but it's too difficult to plan anything right now.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, I already had like a couple of weddings that were scheduled for this summer to be, postponed till 2021. And so, I mean, I don't want to stress out with that stuff, Honestly, I would love to go away. I would love a destination wedding. And from what I understand, nobody's letting Americans into their country right now.
Right.
So yeah, no wedding yet.
Yeah, we'll put a pin in that, right? What do your kids think about you guys getting married again?
They're like, just us being together is so normal to them. I mean, they didn't know like the intricacies of like the status of our relationship or what we were doing. All they knew is they saw their parents living together in the same house and functioning as a family.
Right.
For them, it's kind of like, it was like expected. It's like not a big deal for them. It's like, okay, well, like what else would you be doing? So
yeah.
So right now it's kind of like, what they expect. I'm sure, once the wedding comes and they'll be involved and all that, I'm sure they'll be excited and proud and happy, and maybe it'll mean a little bit more to them then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you find a way to incorporate them into the ceremony and whatnot, and then it's like a party. Like that's the thing about weddings. They're always a party, so they'll love it.
Yeah, that's the one thing about weddings. Like they just have to be fun. Like I've been to a boring wedding before and I was like, I just really wish this, like, it's like, okay, you made me suffer through a boring wedding. Like, please, I hope your marriage lasts forever. Cause that was just like, oh.
Right. There's nothing worse. Especially if you've traveled, you booked hotel, you got all dolled up, and then it's a boring wedding. You're like, oh, come on.
Of course, the marriage did not last.
Okay. Well, there you go. See, I mean, symbolic, right?
Yeah, like, if anything, at least have a fun party. Like, come on now.
There's also talk at the beginning of the season in the first episode of you guys possibly moving into a new place. Which was going to come first, the ring or the new place? So what's the latest with that?
The looking for a new place wasn't even going to happen until, I kind of had an idea of like, okay, we're in this for the long haul. But in my mind, I wanted the ring first. So the ring comes first, and then we'll probably be in a new place by like a season 6. Whenever that happens.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know. I mean, that is another thing about this pandemic too, is I feel like a lot of people are either putting their plans to move on hold or going like full speed ahead, like taking advantage of, leaving the city that they're in or whatnot. So it's kind of going both ways for people who are looking to move. Right.
Exactly. And definitely during the pandemic, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out our next move, and we solidified it. So, if everything goes well, we'll be in a new place soon.
Right. And you got the ring. So, I mean, next is the house.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I needed.
Now, Gizelle revealed at last year's reunion she was back with Jamal, which was kind of a big bomb that she dropped on everybody. Did you know before that reveal that she was back with Jamal?
Not long before that reveal. It's so funny because my mother called me and was like, Gizelle and Jamal are back together. And I'm like,
what?
Right. I'm like, Mom, no, they're not. He's just in Atlanta and she goes and visits. Like, I was totally like, whatever. But my mom has friends that are like friends with Jamal's parents. Like, they're his parents' age. So, the older people love to gossip. Like, it is so crazy. So my mom called me, yeah, they're back together. I'm like, whatever, Mom. No, they're not. Because my conversations with Gizelle from, all the years prior was like, that was like a never going to happen thing. Like, not on the table. Don't even think about it. Like, so when she said that, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, she said she would never get back with him. So
surprise.
Yeah. So I was talking to her on the phone, like shortly after that. I said, girl, my mother said that that people in the streets are saying you and Jamal are back together. And she's like, well, I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, she kept that one kind of close to her chest. So I found out before the reunion, but not long before the reunion.
Okay. And what was your initial reaction? I mean, were you hesitant for her? Were you more supportive?
I would be the last person to judge anyone for getting back with their ex-husband.
That's true.
So I'm definitely supportive. I was just really shocked because she really, like, from, just from all the conversations we had, she had no interest in rekindling that flame. So
Yeah.
I was just more shocked than anything. But, I'm supportive. We all know she's a confident, very secure, smart, grown woman. So whatever she's doing, she's doing, right for herself. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting too, because, your story is different than hers, but still going back with their exes. And it's why I had asked about, how do your kids feel about you guys getting married again? Because we also see that Gizelle's daughters are pretty hesitant about it in the first episode. They're a little bit like, I don't know. We don't want to see him hurt you again. So it's kind of interesting to see the difference there.
Right. It is very interesting. And it's almost like her girls, like I said, as long as I've been friends with Gizelle, it was like, her and Jamal were like never a thing. And I guess as far as her girls were concerned, her mom and Jamal and her dad were never a thing. As far as I remember, if they were like, 2 and 3 years old when they got divorced, they don't remember their parents as a thing. They just remember their parents as their parents who have a good co-parenting relationship. So, they're kind of like in the same, like, what is this box as me? But of course, for them, it's a little bit more, important and significant because they are two people that they really love and care about. So
yeah. Well, and plus the long distance too. And that's a big difference between your family and theirs, is you guys have been together through this whole thing, you and Juan, and Gizelle and Jamal are still at this point long distance. So that's another big difference.
Right. Still long distance. And then from the girls' standpoint, like, they're used to having their mother to themselves and their father to themselves. And then it's like, wait a minute, but my mom and dad are now like spending time together. Like, it's almost like they're feeling a little bit left out. So.
Right. I want to talk about Dr. Wendy, because I think you guys have something in common. Don't you have your sons share a name?
Yes. We have, her Carter is with a K and mine is with a C. Yeah.
Oh, okay. She went with the Kardashian spelling.
Right.
So when you met Dr. Wendy, what was your first impression of her?
You know what? When I met Wendy, so I met her at a group event at Candiace's anniversary party, but we didn't interact that much. But when I finally spent some closer, time with her, I instantly gravitated towards her because she, unlike most new people, she didn't come in trying to fit in, or she was like, she clearly felt like she was just being herself. She wasn't trying to, seek attention.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard being a new person because you have to you have to try to be yourself and stand out and, not seem like you're trying too hard. So she really didn't have that struggle. It felt like she really just fit right in. She was confident. She wasn't trying hard to fit in. She was herself. So I totally appreciated that. And we shared a big laugh at a group dinner. It was between her and I, and it was like, oh yeah, we're like on the same page right here. So I instantly loved her for that. So.
Was it at Ashley's coming out party or a different dinner?
Yes, at Ashley's. It was a dinner that we had for Ashley.
Yeah.
And Wendy and I shared this really big laugh, and it was like one of those, like, it was just a moment between the two of us, but it was
right. You lock eyes and you're like, I know what you're thinking.
Yeah. It was so like, I was like, oh yeah, she's cool with me.
Right. Yeah, I love her so far. I mean, she's such a well-rounded individual, and I feel like just in the first couple episodes that I've seen, she fits in really seamlessly with the group. And I know there's going to be a little bit of tension, I think, between her and Karen that we're going to see.
Yeah, a little bit between her and Karen. Karen didn't really take to her. And then Ashley and Wendy a little bit. But the thing about Wendy is, like, she's very smart, very educated. We all know she has 4 degrees, but she's not a geek. Like, she's not a nerd, and so I love that about her. Like, she still, likes to have fun and can laugh at herself and, will drink and have fun. And so I appreciate that about her.
Yeah. Well, so let's go back to the anniversary party. I know that Charisse is there, and we learn that Charisse has been a part of a little rumor mill. And we learn in the second episode exactly what that rumor is. Monique, I think it's actually Gizelle who reveals it. So had you heard the rumors at the time, or did you learn about it later on?
I knew that rumor for a while, just because the person who originated it, which was not Charisse, told a lot of people. Yeah. So that rumor was not news to me at all.
Okay, so it wasn't Charisse who started it, but it was Charisse who potentially perpetuated it.
Well, and I mean, honestly, I don't know Sharice's role in it because, like I said, the person who Sharice did not start it. So all I know is that, I don't, if you remember, Monique used to have a friend that was on the show a lot with her,
Mm-hmm.
named Gigi from her season 2 and 3. Gigi's
Yeah.
Gigi's the one that started the rumor. So, or spread the rumor. So that's what I know. That's what I know. So I don't really know. I honestly don't know Sharice's role in this rumor. Sharice did not communicate the rumor to me. Someone else through Gigi communicated it to me.
Got it. Okay. So then my question is, do you think Candiace knew about these rumors and really attempted to befriend Sharice because of them? Because that comes up as well in the second episode.
No, see, that's where I'm like, I don't connect Sharice to the rumors because, like I said, Sharice really is not the one that started the rumors or spread the rumors. And Candiace is very forgetful. So
okay.
Candiace doesn't, if it didn't happen to Candiace doesn't care. So whatever Sharice's role in these rumors, whether Candiace knew about it or not, she completely forgot about it probably because it was a while ago. And it really wasn't anything significant in Candiace's life for her to even think that there was some sort of issue.
Right, I see. Okay. Because, I mean, it's a little, when it comes up at the coming out dinner, Candiace is a little bit like, no, I didn't know about those rumors. And it's kind of hard to tell if she's telling the truth or if she, like, did remember. So I wasn't sure, but that's good to know. I mean, it sounds like from your perspective, it's probably something Candiace wasn't even connecting when she was like, hey, Sharice, come to my anniversary party.
Yeah, because honestly, I don't think Sharice is the one that spread the rumor to Candiace. I believe Candiace heard it from someone else, if she did. So that's why I'm lost about Sharice. Why Monique is pinning these rumors on Sharice? That's
interesting.
It's really came from someone else, and that's it to everyone. So
right, but she's just like pinning it on Sharice.
I didn't really see everything, but Sharice definitely, in my opinion, wasn't spreading rumors. She just, heard the same ones that we heard. And if you'll notice, you don't see Monique's friend, her former friend, on the show ever again.
That's very true. So that says something. I mean, there you go. With Candiace, there's a lot this season so far about her issues with apologizing. So do you think it is a maturity issue or is it just that she is a stubborn person?
Both?
A combination of both, right?
One?
Well, at a certain point, it's like, yeah, being stubborn might just be part of your personality, but she is also like a little bit younger. And so is it just, we know her relationship with her mom, so maybe it's just harder for her to like own up to her actions. I don't know.
Yeah, it's both. Like, I think stubborn people usually are immature. So, you know what I mean? It's like, I think being stubborn is a side effect of immaturity. It's definitely both. She's still very immature. She doesn't necessarily like to own all of her actions or deliver a full apology. I felt like, if you're publicly trashing someone, then they deserve a public apology. So she's trashed Ashley in front of us, on Twitter, everywhere. So you could at least deliver a public apology, because to us, we're sitting as a group and we're looking like, okay, like, you're here, but do you have something to say? Like, do you have, it's kind of weird. It's like a big elephant in the room that's just like not going to leave until she delivers that apology. So,
well, yeah, and it's difficult to move on from that, because how is Ashley ever supposed to trust her again or whatnot? And, Twitter is such a dangerous place. I feel like there's been so many instances recently on Housewives where it just like the drama gets escalated on social media, and it's just picked up so much in these last couple of years. But you're right. I mean, sometimes the apology is more for the other person than it is for you. So like, just do that and move forward.
Exactly. And, in our group, we all have no problem delivering apologies in front of the group. Like, we have our drama in front of the group, and we work through our issues in front of the group. So it's kind of like, look, if you want to be in this group, you got to play by the rules of the group, which is, deliver the apology in front of the group so we all know and we all heard it and we can move forward and not talk about it ever again. And who knows what is said in that conversation. That conversation can go left and crazy. So it's almost like you almost need people there to say, like, no, stay on track. Like, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. But, whatever. I mean,
right.
I don't know why it was so hard, but
Now, I know you can't tease too much about this, but obviously we know there's a huge moment coming this season between Candiace and Monique. So can you describe in just 3 words what it was like witnessing that experience?
I know I can't describe that in just 3 words, but I mean, it literally went from 0 to 100. Like, that's like, so my 3 words are 0 to 100.
0 to 100. That's perfect. Yeah, no, I mean, even in just what we have seen, you know, a few of the people that I work with have watched ahead because they can't help it. And we all love to binge, but I like to watch it closer to real time or when we do these interviews because I like to have my reaction feel more natural. But, you know, even in just what was teased in the first episode was just like, oh my God, like this is going to be one of the biggest moments, like not just in Potomac history, but in Housewives history.
Yeah, it was major. And I had all types of emotions regarding it, like, you know, shock. And then, you know, I don't know if you've noticed, but I kind of make a joke out of everything. So I was even like joking, and then I was like angry, and then I'm like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. But it really started off of like some silliness, which is like the craziest part. It's like they were just, you know, having a little silly banter back and forth, and then it just totally escalated, which was so disappointing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I know that it's something that's been teased for a while, and it's just going to be, I think, just as, you know, shocking and, you know, I'm sure people will all have their own different reaction to it, but it'll be really interesting, I think, from a viewer perspective to see how each one of you kind of handles it and you know, deals with it afterwards.
Oh yeah. I mean, it definitely changed the dynamics of the group for sure. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's hard because we haven't been on air for so long.
Right.
And we're not able to work through and resolve this big issue that we really can't resolve it until after the reunion. And
Yeah.
it's like a big, you know, just huge dark cloud that's been hanging over the group.
Right. Last question before we wrap up. I have to know, are you in touch with Katie at all?
I'm not. Katie, for whatever reason, does not like me. She says mean stuff about me. I don't know. I don't understand her, where she's coming from. And a lot of times she says some really mean things that I just kind of let go. And so I don't know. I've given up on her.
Right. That's just, that door is closed, as they say on other franchises.
Yeah, the door is closed for her. I mean, I don't know. She's got her own stuff to work through, and I don't want any parts of it, and I don't want her blaming anyone else for her life. And
Right.
She did a lot of that on social media last year, blaming everyone else for her life.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say one of my favorite memories is when you came in for your last interview, and it was well before the trip from last season. And once we were done, like the mics were off, you were like, let me just tell you what went down at this trip because it was crazy. And I remember you telling us the whole story, and we were all like, oh my God, that's so wild. Like when she just up and left. And I actually have gone back and rewatched last season fairly recently. And just rewatching that episode is so crazy. And there's so many more, you know, breaking the fourth wall moments that are happening on our shows, which I really love. And that was one of them where finally you guys were, you know, talking to security, talking to the producers, and it was such a real raw moment. And I can remember you telling us that story and how kind of nerve-wracking it was in real time.
It was like we were genuinely scared and nervous and had no idea where she was. And it was so disturbing to me that she just upped and left and couldn't tell anyone. And like it was just so irresponsible to me. And so after that I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah. Hopefully the season's trip to Portugal is full of drama, but maybe not that level of drama.
No. Nobody goes missing.
Okay, that's good. Robyn, thank you so much. This was so great chatting with you. I'm so excited Potomac is back, and I'm sure we'll check in with you again before the season wraps because I know there's going to be a lot more to talk about.
Oh yeah, a lot more to talk about it. So, you know, I'm always here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Robyn.
All right, take care.
Talk to you soon. Bye.